Hi, welcome back to God Aware. Almost all the videos on this channel are me trying to tap into the mind of God. It's like, okay, this is what I hear God speaking in the moment. This is what I hear is on the heart of the Father today, or something He's been speaking to me this week. But really, how does that play out practically in everyday life? So in this video, I just wanted to kind of take you on my own journey over the past few months and how God speaking to me and to others really shaped my journey over the last few months. And so last fall, I was in my local church and I was in the media booth, and I got up from the media booth to use the restroom, and I had this thought come to me like, you're not in the right place. Really feeling like, okay, God is telling me like, you're not in the right place. And like, that's odd. Like, okay, what does that mean? And just the more I leaned into that word and that thought that I had from God, it's like, I think my time in this church, in this local body is coming to an end. And so something that, I talked to my wife about this, like, this is what I'm hearing. This is what I'm sensing. It's like, okay, we'll pray about it and just see where God is leading us next. And every time I thought about this word and was praying about it, like another church came to mind, this other church that had a connection with their pastors. And every time I revisited this word that I'm not in the right place, I had this picture of another church that I was familiar with in the area that came to mind. It's like, I feel like this is the direction God is leading me. But the church that I was a part of was really in a transition phase. They were meeting in a temporary location, and they were getting ready to go into their permanent building. So, and it wasn't a word that like move now, this like there wasn't a real urgency like go now. So I just wanted to make sure that like, okay, the body that I'm a part of, let's stick with them through the transition, make sure everything is set up, the audio, the video, all the media is in place before we make this move. And so we got into the new building with this church. We got the audio and the video, all the media set up, and just talking with my wife is like, I think this is the season that, it's time for us to step out, to move. And she was really questioning like, okay, well, if we're leaving this one church, where are we going? Where's the next step? And it's like, well, every time I think about this word of, I'm not in the right place, there's this other ministry, this other church in the region that comes to mind. And like, I feel God leading me there. She's like, okay, well, and then she said, about a year ago, he's like, I had a dream, and the pastor of this other church that you're mentioning was welcoming us in and saying, what took you guys so long? It's like, okay, why didn't you tell me a year ago? And as she said, no, I wanted God to speak to you. I wanted the word to be clear to you that you knew this was the direction you're going, that we're going. And so I was like, okay, I understand that. And that's, thank God for wives that hear from God and that dream, And this week, as it's Passion Week, coming up to celebrating Easter, that's something that the story you read about Pilate, before he washed his hands of Jesus, his wife came to him and said, look, I'm having dreams and nightmares about this guy, Jesus, this innocent man. He's like, I don't want you to have anything to do with his death. And so Pilate really should have listened to his wife, but we know the end of the story. So it's a lesson for you husbands out there. When your wife hears from God and says, I had a dream about this, pay attention. So we continued on in our home church, and I'd been in this church for probably about 10 years, and we got settled in the new building. I gave my notice to the media team that I was stepping out of the media department, and so it came time, I was like, okay, I've got to sit down and have a conversation with the pastor. That this is what I feel God is leading. This is where I feel God is leading me to. So talking with my wife during the week, I was like, all right, Sunday's the day. I'm going to text the pastor early Sunday morning saying after service, we need to sit down and have the conversation. It's like, okay, so Sunday morning, I'm going to text him. Well, the Saturday before service, the pastor of the church that I was feeling led to go to called me, left a voicemail, and invited me to come and speak in his church the next month. So I was like, showed my wife, like, look at this voicemail, like the church we're feeling led to go to, like we just got an invitation to come speak there. I was like, this is God, this is confirmation. So Sunday morning came, I sent a text to my pastor and say, hey, after service, can we have a chat? He's like, actually, I'm speaking at another church this Sunday, but let's have lunch during the week. So had lunch with my pastor and just telling him, like, this is what God has been saying. My wife had a dream, like this is the direction I feel like God is leading us. And he said, you know what? He's like, this last Saturday night, he's like, I usually don't dream. He's like, but Saturday night I had a dream and Jesus spoke to me and said, Josh is leaving and you need to let him go. He's like, so when I woke up and saw your text at 6 a.m. saying we need to chat, he's like, I know exactly what it's about. And so everybody was on board with the decision. God had basically made the path clear for us. And it's just my journey, the way that, from just a simple nudging of the Holy Spirit in me, like I felt this word that like I'm not in the right place, that I'm out of position. And then just this sense of like, oh, here's the ministry that I feel drawn to. And then my wife having a dream. And then the pastor of the church I'm going to feeling nudged by the Holy Spirit to invite us there to speak. And then my current pastor saying, yeah, God spoke to me in a dream, said you're leaving and I need to let you go. So God really cleared the way, cleared the path for us through this transition. And I just think, on this channel, like I share words like, okay, this is what I feel God's saying in the moment. It's like, but how does that look in real life? How does that play out practically? And so this is my journey over the last couple months where just it sounds simple for somebody to like, okay, we're leaving one church and going to another church, but that's not a move that I would take lightly. And so I needed God's confirmation in every step of the way and to clear the path. And he spoke to me, he spoke to my wife, he spoke to the pastor that I was going to, and he spoke to the lead pastor of the church where I was. And so God, we say, oh, God's not speaking, or we don't hear him. Like, well, let's take time to listen. And if he's not speaking to you, he may be speaking to those that you're in close relationship or proximity to. And so that's just what I wanted this video to be about, that, I'll give many words about this is what I feel God is saying, but like to see how that looks in my own journey is what I wanted to share with you today. So thank you for listening. Until next time, God bless.